Hey guys, this is Anne-Marie from Sheets That Teach. I am a special education teacher and advocate, and I've teamed up with Laura from You Are Love Templates to bring all of our teacher dream data sheets to life. But if you ever need resources for outside of the classroom, I highly recommend you check her page out. She also has a Google Sheets course that has taught me everything I know, and in your free time, I highly recommend you check it out. But today I wanted to go over how you're going to be setting up your interval tracking sheet. And before we go into how to set it up, I wanted to give you guys a little walkthrough of a completed example so you can see the workflow and know what we're setting up. I want you guys to really think of this as the sister to the weekly or yearly behavior log, in the sense that it is really helping you keep track of behaviors and frequency. But keep in mind that this one is really meant for those unsafe or negative behaviors, so the child's really not going to be seeing this at all. This is really a tool that allows you to track the frequency of unsafe behaviors and the amount of missed instructions, so you have a tool to show admin, hey, this child needs more support, look at what's happening in my classroom every single day. So with that, let's go through a quick walkthrough of the template, and then we'll go over how to set it up. So when you get to all of your numbers down here, these are basically day 1, day 2, day 3, and so on. You have up to 20 slots, which allows for 4 weeks of 5 days. And then you are just going to select your date. You're going to select any of these given intervals. You're then going to write in a start time and an end time, and obviously, as most of our tools do, almost every single one of our tools do, your intervals will automatically populate. Then it's just your job to note how many times the behavior happened in that given interval. So if it didn't happen at all, go ahead and leave it blank. If it, happened once, twice, 3 times, go ahead, fill that in. And you can also keep track of missed instruction in this little gray column right here. And again, you can take little notes on the behavior here, or there's even a space for longer notes down here. Throughout the day, this graph will be updating based on the data you put in. You'll never need to touch this graph. You get a beautiful little daily summary on each day. Then you're going to get a weekly breakdown, which this will basically show you the totals of how many times each behavior happened. You can have it in a beautiful little table format or graph format. And again, I love that we're always giving this ratio of how many minutes of instruction did they miss. And again, another place to put like a little bit of notes, like you could note that maybe the child was sick this week, or there was testing all week this week, so there was a giant schedule change. And then you're even going to be able to see this is the total of all of the unsafe behaviors, or again, off whatever you're tracking. This is the total of how many times it happened combined through the 4 weeks, which I think is really cool to see. And then you even get to analyze it by behavior. So this is the total of off-task incidents in week 1, total in week 2, week 3, and week 4. And you can see that aggression towards peers really went through the roof. The severe aggression amped up on this. So love that you can see that by behavior. And then you also have your monthly overview. This is by behavior. You're seeing your totals. You have a longer note section if you'd like to report anything, and you have your missed instruction graph. And these again are all auto populated. And then here you can also track attendance. You can really write anything you want in here, but we figured that this is something that you guys might want to note when looking at this data about how many times they were absent per month. Nothing is auto-generated in this one, so feel free to edit any way that fits your classroom's needs. And just want to really reiterate that everything minus the notes section on this is truly fully automated. You don't need to really touch anything in these tabs or again up in your daily graphs either. So let's go ahead and get started and actually set it up. So you've made your copy from the purchase PDF. Now, as always, I say it's best to leave one blank in your Google Drive, so you're gonna wanna go ahead, make a copy of it right away. So let's just call this Sally's October, behave data. Okay, make a copy. Also, just a reminder, as this is loading up, you do have access to updates for life. When you purchase our products, if we've made an update, you can always go back to your purchase PDF, make a copy again, and have whatever update we made. As always, everything comes with the Start Here tab, an example that we just looked at. If you don't want to listen to my voice, feel free to end this video, look at these visual instructions, and when you're done, you can hide the tab, hide the sheet. Okay, so in setup, literally all we need to do, this is Sally, and then I'm going to note every behavior. And so now remember, behaviors, the color scale goes basically kind of from least to most unsafe, so you can label your behaviors accordingly. So this might just be like off task. This might be disruption. And then we can do elope from area, peers. Again, you can track up to 10 for sake of this video. We'll just go ahead and do 8. Now, you don't need to do anything on your monthly overview or your weekly breakdown. That's all going to be auto-populated once you start taking data. So once you have completed your setup tab, you're ready to start taking data. All these numbers down here are basically like day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 20, so that is 4 weeks of 5 days. And then when you're ready to start, you're gonna go ahead, come up here, and you're gonna click your date. Then you're gonna set your time interval. You have 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, or 30 minutes. I would stick to one of these that are given, because if you wanted to add something like 45 or 60 minutes, all the formulas are not going to know how to adjust to that accordingly. But let's go ahead and do 15 minutes, and you can do the whole day. Or again, if you know for a fact that this student struggles particularly in the morning, we could do something like 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and boom, they'll be auto-generated just like all of our stuff is, as always. And again, even if I were to change my interval thereafter the fact, it will adjust accordingly. Then again, we just start taking data. Say you see the behavior happen during that interval, you're just going to go ahead and note the number of times it may have happened in that interval. You are going to see that you're getting a beautiful little daily summary of how many times something happened within a day right at the top. You can take quick notes right here if you need to. If, again, let's say during this block when there was a lot of property destruction, they more than likely missed that time of instruction. If it was just 1 minute and they were able to get out of the class, we could mark it as 1 minute. Or if it was 5 minutes, the whole interval, we can write 5. And again, it's going to always be calculating live the amount of missed instruction versus the total time observed. Another thing, a few tips and tricks I wanted to point out with this, at the very bottom, you can note who was the observer and what the location was, and you also have space for more notes down here. And then you're just going to want to keep doing that each day, as we just did. And say you don't want to see all these tabs at the bottom, remember, when you are done with a day, you can go ahead and hide it. And then if you'd like, you can bring it up back here. Then, as we can see, let's start to look at the weekly breakdown. That's been auto-calculated. And then the monthly breakdown, we can go ahead and see that first day we started taking data. And again, say you don't want all these graphs, the ones you're not showing, to hide, we can go ahead and say, like, again, anything you're not using, you can go ahead and say hide rows. Boom, where'd the graph go? Let's just undo it. So, and that also goes for columns too. So see how we're not using anything from, in this sheet, we're not using anything from T to W. I can go ahead and I can also say hide these columns. If I ever wanted to bring them back, I would just press the little arrow up here. There. Okay. The last thing I wanted to show you guys is how to make a printer-friendly version of the data overview sections and even a daily tab if you wanted to. So starting off with the daily tab, if you have a bunch of extra rows hiding down here at the bottom that are going to serve little to no purpose to you, you can go ahead and select a row, hold down Shift, and basically hide all those rows that you're not using. Oop. Let's see. You can basically just select all of them, and we are going to go to hide rows. And that way, when you go to file print, you don't have the excess of everything. So again, just go ahead and play around with the settings. If it fits better in landscape or portrait, you can do fit to width, fit to page. I don't recommend going with the normal 100% because again, then it's going to be cut across multiple pages and you can't really read it the way that it's intended to. And then another thing I also like to do is always make sure that my margins are narrow because, you know, who needs that extra white space? And then there you go, we have a beautiful printer-friendly version, or you can go ahead and save it as a PDF. Same thing with the weekly breakdown. Let's go ahead, go to print. And again, it'll remember what your most used or frequent settings are. So you can, this one's already at fit to page. I could say narrow margins. Sometimes it doesn't even make that much of a difference depending on what you're displaying, but we really did want to keep everything as printer friendly for you as possible. So your monthly overview is a powerful tool that you can show admin, you can show parents to say this is how many times this unsafe behavior is happening, this is how much instruction they're missing, and again, hopefully get your student the supports and classroom environment that they need, the setting that they need. Happy data tracking and have a great school year.